Yeah, I mean, obviously the Star Wars Twitter is Lucasfilm, so I can't post pictures of cute boys dressed as stormtroopers and hit on them using the office account. But I can on my personal one.
And you can retweet it.
And then I can retweet it on Star Wars, yeah. So if you see me retweet, if you see Bonnie Girl on Star Wars, that's me retweeting myself, getting around that little legal loophole.
Doing that.
I know, and it's so funny because people are now just figuring out I'm the one that's responsible for Star Wars, and now it seems a lot more vain, but and it's kind of sad. But yeah, I think with personal boundaries, it depends. Like when I Foursquare, I don't Foursquare where I live, because I don't want people to show up where I live. I'm social online, not so much offline. So there's things like that. On Twitter, I try to keep it interesting. Like I think of Twitter as like a very short comedy. So I try to keep things light. I hate politics more than anything. I come from a very political family who all they want to do is argue politics, and I hate it. So unless it's politics in the Senate, Clone Wars or Star Wars, Clone Wars politics, but I keep my Twitter as positive as possible. I don't use it as a soap, because there's every religion out there. There's left and right. There's Democrats, Republicans, there's all this stuff, and I try to keep it as I know, right? The only tea party I like is chai, so so I try to keep it as positive as possible. I think also with boundaries, you got to be careful that and know that, especially on Twitter, if you're sending a response to someone, if another person follows you and that person, they'll see it. So if you want to keep it private, keep it to direct message like DM or texting that no one else can see, because I've been caught flirting before and it's embarrassing. Or I've been caught just like saying stuff that maybe, nothing official, but just stuff that's like maybe I didn't want the whole world to retweet it. So, and the more people who follow you, the more people will retweet everything you say. So it's kind of like, just know that people are watching, journalists are watching too, so I always have to be careful, like, I
get retweeted a lot by MTV Blog.
Yes, I do too. I think I got, and they were at the R2 wedding, so I'm a little worried about that, yeah. But, it's just know that people are paying attention. And even if you think you're nobody and no one's following you, yeah, they are, and they're going to retweet you. So just keep that in mind. If you want to use Twitter as a way to make friends, don't be a jerk. That's...
Yeah, it's never offensive. I keep it separate too. I have my common one, and I have a fanboys_movie1. That one's purely for updates about the movie. If it's coming out Blu-ray, if it's finally getting to a different territory around the world. If there's something, fans send something that's relevant to it, you're following it just because you're a fan of that specific movie, or it's occasional Star Wars stuff that I keep it very specific to that, like filmic niche of Star Wars or my film. And then my personal stuff, I kind of put a lot of what I'm doing every day personal, but I never get too personal.
Right.
And that discretion is really up to you, because there is no set boundary. I feel like some people might be like, I just don't want somebody to know who my friends are going, and some people might, here's our friends, we're going to the movies, and blah, blah, blah.
Except I think I often tweet to you when I'm at Red Lobster, because I know that...
I do like the baskets and the Isles Feast.
Yeah.
Well, I find that it's one of those things where, with Facebook, for example, at first I had just a Facebook page, but I couldn't get a fan page started, whatever. It's kind of it's so messy there. But now I tell all my friends, it's kind of like, well, this isn't necessarily the spot where I'm going to be communicating to you. And then my family got on, and then they became my fans, and it's like my sister's on, and I'm like, stop it. Because, I have had strange things. Not ever in the Star Wars world, that's one thing. Star Wars fans have always been so gracious, but I've had some weird fan things before, and you have to be careful. And then with my daughter, I have a 5-year-old daughter, so it's like I have to be careful there. But you just keep them separate. That's where I look at email and stuff like that. It's kind of my way of communicating with.
My wife barely uses her Facebook, and there was a fake one that a lot of followers. So her sister sent these personal family photos of when she was a little kid to this random person who's claiming to be there with thousands of people. And then she's like, why would you send personal things to?
Yeah, I just had that happen. A friend of mine put on my Facebook fan page, a picture of me and him from like a barbecue from 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh, that's great, but I also don't. I think we should ask you.
I mean, you can go in settings and change that, but I hate that too. I feel like it's a blackmail ploy.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna put this picture of you as a punk rocker from like 8th grade that you had bad hair and wearing a Debbie Gibson T-shirt, and it wasn't punk rock at all on your Facebook. And
all of a sudden, 100 people have clicked like, and
Facebook, so I find it a little hard to navigate and harder. I'm overwhelmed with the direct messages. It's almost like a secondary email. So that's why I find the ease of Twitter. Isn't just there's something organic about it, whereas there's something cumbersome about Facebook, and they keep changing it, so it's hard to stay up to date with what they're.
Yeah, Twitter is so single purpose that it's really hard to mess it up.
If you want to check it out, you check out the picture. If you don't, you don't. Like it's not
on your news stream.
It's not so demanding,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why I like Facebook, but I don't use it the same extent because it's just not smooth.
Yeah, I read Facebook, but I do not. I'll post like little videos. There's too many people from different aspects of my life. Like my college friends do not need to know every detail of Celebration 5. They don't care.
Exactly.
So.
Now what I want to do is just open up questions. If anyone has anything for anyone in particular, I'll start with you. And I'll just, hang on, let me unmic my whole remote.
Yeah, this is a question for all 6 of you, actually. What's your favorite mobile app to tweet from?
Yeah, I was actually curious about that too.
I actually use just the Twitter app that used to be Tweety, I think. That's pretty much what I've used. I have TweetDeck on here too, but I like TweetDeck on the desktop better, so I just use Tweety.
I use 5 different Twitter accounts because, well, no, because they all have something I like, but there isn't one that has everything I like. So I use Twitterific for the Star Wars one because I can find all of our retweets or anybody who sends a Twitter to, at Star Wars. I see it within everything else, so it's just faster for me. For some reason. I don't know why. I think it's because of the first Twitter app I've ever used, so it's like home, so I just have that on Star Wars. I use TweetDeck for my personal because it uploads photos the quickest if you're using TwitPic. And I've just found that, and I have an old iPhone, I don't have the new one yet, so maybe that'll change. The new Twitter that's actually the official one doesn't work anymore if you have the old phone and did the update, and I don't know why. Yeah, mine doesn't. I don't know why. I think it's because I overtweet. So then I upload Echo Phone, and I use that for other stuff because they have good lists. This is all going to sound totally geeky. I know it's stupid. Just find one you like. They're all free. Don't pay for one. God, don't ever pay for anything. So, seriously.
Like Star Wars t-shirt, shop.starwars.com.
Yeah, right. Hey, I am doing the Star Wars craft book, which is literally telling you how to make like a Tauntaun couch. So, we're not selling that. I mean, yeah, so that's a different panel. But yeah, it's the thing about social media is just trial and error. I mean, there's so many free apps to use. Just find one and play around with it. If you don't like it, delete it, go into the next one. There's so many people like you are just developing new apps right and left, and they like new stuff and they develop what they want. So just find what you like and play with it. Don't like it, move on to the next thing. You don't have to be married to an app. So
that's the brilliant thing about the whole concept of all this and the conversation we're having is if you don't know, you just ask, and in 60 seconds you have 30 responses of try this one, try this one, try this one. It's amazing.
Oh my god, I have to mention this. Twitter is the best geek squad you will ever have. My computer failed at some weird random thing I was at with some convention and nobody knew how to fix it. I went on Twitter and asked, and every single guy and girl who knew about my particular laptop answered my question. When I got a vicious virus, someone helped me clean it up instantly. So, and for free, thank you. So it's just use Twitter for questions, for anything like that, and it's a lifesaver.
Well, that's the thing is, if you ask that question in a room here, we have to wait for anybody to raise their hand, and until somebody does or doesn't, you can't move on. But you can ask 6 questions all at once, and it's a self-selecting thing. Yeah. Anybody who knows will respond.
I had a problem with my video card, and the guy told me to put it in the oven.